Elsewhere in the Old World, 15th century slavery had existed in the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal, and Spain of Western Europe. Throughout recorded history, the Roman Empire had established its system of slavery, continued in the successor Islamic and Christianic kingdoms of the peninsula throughout the early modern era of the Atlantic slave trade. African slavery was prevalent in many parts of Africa for many centuries before the beginning of the Atlantic slave trade. There is evidence that the enslaved people from some parts of Africa were exported to the states in Africa, Europe, and Asia prior to the European colonization of America. Racial slurs, racial epithets, or words or phrases that refer to members of racial and ethnic groups in derogatory manner, Polaris, and all other forms of racial defamation, dehumanization, targeted groups, and justified racial oppression by suggesting that targeted populations are unworthy or unworthy of equality. So the list goes on in regards to the racial slurs that originated in the beginning by colonial man. Japs for Japanese people, Chinese people were referenced as chinks, Hispanic people spics, or indirectly allude to targeted racial group by referring common derogatory stereotypes. African American, the list is the longest for African Americans and whites. Porch monkeys, spear chuckers, Native Americans were redskins. Middle Eastern people were sand niggers. You got wetback, coolie, kite, dango. Racial slurs go on and on. Like I said, racial slurs are usually created when primarily by the dominant race, the group, and society, a variety of socio-political circumstances governed the creation and duration of racial slurs. Initial contact between conflict during conquest, European conquistors and colonists invited numerous racial slurs, for example, Indian savages, to denigrate and rationalize the oppression of Native Americans. Subsequent generations of European Americans coined the slurs to disgrunge and rationalize the subordination of African Americans and various populations of immigrant of color. Look, racism pops up all the time, everywhere. 1994, 6 African American employees were in battle in a racial discrimination lawsuit against tobacco company. Texaco executives were, as usual, tap recording referring to black employees as black jelly beans, or more recently, 2006, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission filed a lawsuit against a medical clinic that was referring to black peoples as Reggin, Reggin, which is code for nigger, spelled backwards, or also words like boy, drug dealer, you people, thug, nigger, monkey, sambo. List goes on and on. It's on Google. Racial slurs carry a contemporary message of hate in the United States. White Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans um, have a long list of racial slurs that they have basically been assigned, or should I say, that have been adopted by society to associate them racially, I guess. Um, you know, like I say, it's just hard to understand, but it originated from the beginning, and it just seems to keep going on and on. Um, so European Americans, um, you know, were basically, I don't know if I want to say, hated, but they were looked at as the dominant colonist destructor, basically. I mean, if you ask me. So, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans, originally classified as Irish Catholic immigrants, as non-white and racially inferior during the mid-19th century, established European Americans targeted the Irish with racialized slurs such as Paddy and Mick. As generations of Irish Catholic families assimilated to the Anglo-Saxon core culture, the established white groups were unable to distinguish Irish people from other European Americans.